Welcome to this 10-minute practice, all focused on deep abdominal work. We're going to do quite a bit of this practice in a reclined position. We'll come up to seated a little bit at the end. But at first here, you don't need anything. You don't need blocks, anything like that. I want you to come down onto your back. And just take a moment to get your back feeling nice and connected to the floor. So lift your hips a little bit, try to tuck your pelvis. We want to feel really connected through the curve of our low back, so that lumbar curve. And then just bring your hands onto your belly. So all of the little movements, exercises, techniques, whatever you wish to call them, that we are going to do here for the next 10 minutes involves stabilizing our deep abdominal muscles. So those transverse abs that wrap around from our spine towards the center line of our body. Okay? Bring your hands just to touch your front pocket space. Let's take the left foot up. So before we worry about what's happening with our leg, I want you to think about your hips and getting nice and square. And then drawing your belly in and pressing that belly towards the floor. As we reach up here, we're going to come into a crunch and you're going to hollow the front side of your belly. We want to just hold and stabilize. Try to imagine like you're placing a box up onto the bottom of your foot. So reach up, lift up, pull your belly in. Don't let it puff towards the ceiling. Good job. Take a breath. And then roll your shoulders down and take your arms out beside you. Keep engaging through the core. Hold your rib cage in, hold your belly in, and lengthen nice and slowly. Really actively press this left heel away from the left hip. Your goal is to not lose this connection of your low abs and to ride this down as if you're going down on an elevator. What we don't want is to lose that and skip a level. Go all the way down. A little bit of a pause to disengage. And then reset, pull your belly in. See if you can lift up by your big toe. Good job. Reach up, belly to spine. Lift your shoulders, lift your head. Breathe through your nose. Good job, you guys. Roll your shoulders down. One more time. Lengthen and lower. Stay stable. This is actually a technique. This exact movement is something that will be used once in a while to heal from a hernia. And so if you're somebody who's experienced that, go ahead and lengthen your legs out. Or if you've experienced abdominal surgery of any type, that's a really mindful, deep connective movement that is used by physiotherapists to reconnect with those muscles and all those nerves that were lost during either a hernia or post-surgery. Interesting information. Okay, bring yourself back into the start. So bend your knees. Hands are going to come to the front pockets, nice and level and square. Press your right heel up. And then pull your belly in. Take your hands up and reach. Lift your shoulders. Look up at your foot. That should help keep the tension out of your neck. Breathe. Ground your lumbar curve into the floor. Press down. Good job. Roll your shoulders down. Tee your arms out. And then keep the connection of the low belly. Pressing away from your right hip. Length is important. So a strong leg is important here. We want to keep our leg as straight as we can. Let your heel completely find the floor. And then disengage. Sometimes in classes or in different, techniques, we won't touch down at all. We'll keep those muscles under tension the whole time. But this is a good sort of introductory. It helps you now to reconnect. So pull your belly in, see if you can find that. And then lift up, big toe up. Reach up, lift your shoulders, come into a crunch. Stabilize, strong and steady. Roll your shoulders down. Last piece here, lengthen away. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. All the way towards the floor. Don't lose the belly. Stabilize. Good job. Awesome, guys. Just bend your knees. Do whatever feels good here just to reset. From here, we're going to bring our shins up to a 90-degree angle. So imagine like you're just trying to stack your knees on top of the hips. Flex your feet, so point your toes up if you can. We're going to do this both ways, but for this variation, keep your feet flexed. Now what this engages is our quad muscles and into our hip flexors, so it's by design. We're going to take our knees towards 11 o'clock and hold. Pull your belly in. Pull especially this right side of your waistline. Your right hip can be lifted as much as it needs to here, but our shoulders are nice and connected. Come back to the center. Draw your knees into your chest. Relax. And then reset here. Not too long to relax, but it's nice to take our bodies both ends of the spectrum where we're really trying to activate and engage, and then we're countering that by releasing the muscles. Really is a great way to build strength. Okay. Pull your belly in. Don't let your back curve. Flex your feet. Feel those hip flexors. Come towards 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And then this right side of your rib cage of your waistline, think of squeezing it in. Even if you can't feel it, it's really important brain-body connection. Keep your focus on that space and don't brace against it. Try to use your strength. Good job. Come back to center and relax. Beautiful. Okay, so from here, same but different. We are going to point our toes. Keep your knees stacked on top of your hips. Keep your belly drawn in. Imagine you have on super tight pants. So that feeling of really tight jeans, holding our belly inwards. Okay, we're coming over again towards 11, 10, or 9. Anywhere along the spectrum, point your toes, squeeze your thighs together. Right side of your waistline is drawing inwards. Transverse abs. Remember that corset I talk about. Wraps from your spine around to your belly. Oblique muscles are at play. Hip flexors are at play. Getting super strong. Come back to the center. Good job. Disengage. You get the idea. Counter everything by relaxing. I think it's very counterproductive, if you will, to power through core exercises to where you're just fatigued and you're not actually isolating the muscle. You're going to get so much bang for your buck by focusing on pulling your belly in, point your toes, squeeze your legs, come over towards 1, 2, or 3. Back to that. You're going to get so much more by being intentional and controlled, very methodical, as opposed to powering through a whole bunch of crunches or something that you're doing incorrectly. Good job. Come back to the center and release. So the other thing, we're going to come up to seated here as we're doing so. I'm going to talk a minute. The other thing I want people to think about, especially given that I'm a yoga instructor and this is a yoga style practice, our core is not for vanity. I don't want you to think of it as like, oh, it'd be nice to have a six-pack. I want you to think of your core as the most supportive structure for your internal organs and your low back. And I know so many people come to the practice of yoga because one, they're either unwell in some way, okay, so your organs are affected in a way, or you have a lot of pain in your back. It's probably the number one. Back pain is probably the number one thing. Your core, as it comes around and as we train that to be totally strong and stabilized, is protecting all of those things that are bothersome to you. So think of it as a very important muscle, okay? It's not just about the six-pack. That'd be cool, but it's not why we're here, right? So let's sit. We're going to come into a boat pose here. This is how we're going to finish off. Now, with boat, because we're focusing on using deep core, if you find as you come into this that it's too much about strength or balance and not enough about stabilizing through the belly, then I want you to take your hands back. So you're going to eliminate having your hands forward. You're going to take them back instead. You can tent, you can have them on blocks as you wish. We're going to point our toes and lift up our right leg. Point first on purpose. So you could be here. Reach your arms forward, see how that feels. This is hip flexor, squeeze it towards your chest. Good job. Place it down. Try the other side. So point your toe, lift up, squeeze this left knee towards your chest. You can have your hands down. What we want to avoid is collapsing into our low back. Keep your low back pushing forward. Keep your belly pulling towards your spine. Good job. Place both feet down. Give your hips a little shake. Butterfly is a good one to come to here. Awesome. Reach your arms forward, unless you're ignoring me with that. So let's pick up now. Big toes up. Okay. Pull your belly in, pull your low back forward, lengthen through the top of your head, push your right heel forward. If you do this correctly, you should shake. Pull in, lengthen your left. Pull in, lengthen your right. Pull in, lengthen your left. Pull in, lengthen both. Woo! Push forward. Strong back. Good job. Pull your legs in. Butterfly or windshield wipers, whatever feels good. Beautiful job. Come up to seated. So different variations of boat are super effective. Learning some anatomy and how your hip flexors are so deeply tied to your abdominal muscles is really important. Just like our back and our hips are connected, so are our hips and our core. Everything's connected in yoga. We learn that. And so train your hip flexors. Don't just stretch your hips. Train them to be strong, just as we did in boat pose there. So we're going to finish off with just a really good belly stretch. So let's take left hand down. Right arm's going to reach up. Think of getting nice and long through your oblique muscles. So reach up and over just for a moment. And then pull your arm back. See if you can look up. Breathe into your belly. Come back up and go the opposite way. Just to finish off. Up and over. Pull your arm back. Breathe into your belly. And come back up. Really good job, you guys. If you wanted this to be a core session, you don't need to do 1,000 things. You could go back down, do the crunch where you're reaching up towards your foot. Definitely do the leg extension where you come down. Those moving your knees towards 1, 2, and 3, or 11, 10, and 9 on a clock, keeping your belly drawn in. Boat pose variations to train the very low abdomen and the hip flexor muscles to make them nice and strong. All good. So we kind of hit all sides and spectrums. Throw in a little core planking. That's awesome. We just did that a couple days ago. That's another good one too. Take care. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something that you haven't done before. And I hope you have a lovely day. Namaste.